Hi, class. Today we're going to conclude our topic of leadership versus management with the third ways that leadership versus management may be different. And so, how are they different? We talked about personality on the first day, attitudes toward goals, conceptions of work, and relations with others on the next day. And then today we're going to talk about senses of self. So, how do managers and leaders differ in how they view themselves? And so, managers typically may look at themselves as people who want to keep things kind of how they are, right? Keeping things the way they should be and how they have been in the past going forward, right? So, they want to keep continuing on with the existing order that they identify with the methodology and the systems and the places where they gain this power of management, right? They want to perpetuate and strengthen existing institutions. They want things just to stay the same because that's how they operate and that's where they live. That's the methodology in which they've operated their lives up to this point. So leaders may operate differently, right? So they view themselves as someone who is going to do something different than keep things the way they are. Leaders are people who typically think of themselves maybe beyond the environment within which they operate, right? So they may be in a workplace, but the workplace doesn't define them. Their role doesn't necessarily define who they are and how they operate. A leader is not someone who's going to look at themselves and need to be part of this group or need to be part of this clique. They don't need membership, right? They don't need your acceptance. Sometimes you can call them lone wolves, right? They're not going to define themselves by their work role or their social status, right? They see something bigger and greater that they want to accomplish and they want to achieve. And so this kind of mindset and sense of self leads them to want to alter what's going on, right? They're not the conservator of what is happening, right? What is happening is fine for now, but a leader is someone who looks at what is happening now and wonders, how can it be better? How can they change things? What can they do to make the current model, while maybe very good, even better still? Or just not so limited, right? So a leader is someone who looks beyond the existing methodology, beyond the just existing labels, to become and to do something more than that. And so we've gone over 5 possible ways that leaders and managers may differ. And so we want to talk about a little bit more about how do we develop these leaders, right? Where do these leaders come from? And so if I were to ask you the question, are leaders born or made? I'd welcome your thoughts, right? Where does this leadership come from? So take a moment, maybe pause the video, reflect on that. Where do you think leadership comes from? Are there born leaders? Are leaders learned? Is it a learned behavior? What might it be? So hopefully you've thought about it. Maybe you can picture in your mind someone who you think is a leader and think, what made that person become a leader? Or were they born out of the womb that way? Maybe there are some moments in their life where they developed these skills. Maybe it was a teacher that they knew or a coach that they knew that made them into a leader. Maybe it was by necessity. Maybe they had a rough childhood that caused them to have to take the reins of responsibility very, very early on, right? All of these things beg the questions like, how did this leadership develop? Where did it come from? What made these people become leaders? And so I'm going to venture a couple different methodologies. One, perhaps a life-altering moment, maybe some kind of internal desire. So some people just have a drive and desire to do things differently or do things better. Or maybe something happened in their life. Maybe they chose to fight for something because a loved one went through hardship, perhaps, right? So even if you think of someone like Colin Kaepernick, who was the NFL football player who took a knee for the anthem, before this moment, he was known to be a football quarterback on a very good team, and he was the leader theoretically of the team. But no one could identify him as necessarily a leader above and beyond anyone else. But now, regardless of your opinion on his political views or social views, um, he decided to do something, take a knee during the national anthem to raise awareness for a cause he believed in. And why did he do this? Because things were happening in society that he believed he needed to stand up for. And so, perhaps, maybe not even his life altering moment, but moments in society that cause you to choose one course of action, right? Maybe if life was different, he would never have taken on this burden. And maybe he would never have come forward as potentially a leader, right? And so, examining life altering moments or internal desires. And secondly, thinking about how do we create these individuals. These days, it has changed where conventional forms of esteem building are no longer enough, right? It's no longer to encourage someone in the same way, right? We need things that are, I want to say, bigger, more powerful. We want individuals to experience different things that are potentially going to spark internal desires, right? It's not good enough just to tell everyone that they're good enough or that they are okay, right? Those things are always of course, always good, but there needs to be potentially more than that than what we've experienced in the past. The competitive landscape that we live in is so much more. There are so many different things, so many more things, right? And so we need individuals to reach inside them more to figure out what is going to push them, right? I'll say this quote: "A form of self-reliance takes hold along with expectations of performance and achievement, and perhaps even the desire to do great works." But ideally, we want people to get to this point. We want people to get to a point where they are experiencing things that they want to do more, right? They want to do great things. They want to achieve higher. They want to not just live that, conventional lifestyle. Again, and I don't want to knock that lifestyle or knock that reality, but we want people to do greatness and lead, right? Life changes as you grow older, have families and whatnot, and your priorities may change, and it's not wrong to seek out safety and security, right? We're not saying it's wrong, but we still need individuals to push the envelope, right, to make things happen. And so maybe it's not someone else's time, but someone else needs to step up. And so we talked about life-altering moments and internal desires. Another part of this is mentorship. Mentorship is an important factor in the cultivating of these leaders or these gifted individuals, right? We need people to guide you on a path, right? And so if I think about myself, I'm an old man. I sometimes wish I had more of this in my life, right? I wish that someone could have led me to a different pathway. Not that I don't like the pathway, but it might have gotten me here faster, gotten me here younger, with more energy and promise to do more, perhaps. I don't know, but that's why it's so important to invest vast amounts of resources in our young people, right? Because as the young mind develops, as the young aspirations develop, we want to build into young people these desires to be more and to do better than we have. So mentorship is a very important factor in this, to help guide, to help learn from mistakes, to help ensure that this person can hopefully figure things out before it's too late. And so let's think about how this leadership might develop even more so. So two different ideas. One is peer learning, and the second is mentorship and motivation. So let's talk about the peer learning part first. And so if I have you work in teams, you're all equals, you're all peers, and so you'll work together. And so individuals will come to the forefront and become take more leadership roles or managerial roles, and others may be a little bit more passive. But it allows people to excel. It allows people to grow. It allows people to take responsibility. Like whether you're all 16 or 17 right now, I could put you on a group. I could do the same thing for a grade 9 class, right? and then someone will take control. A grade 5 class, and someone will take control, right? But what if in that grade 5 class I put one grade 9 person in there, right? That one grade 9 individual is likely to hold power. On the same token, if I put a grade 12 student with a grade 9 group, that grade 12 student will automatically assume a role of leadership just because of their age and maturity, right? The same way if I'm part of your group, you might defer to my ideas or my thoughts, right? Peer learning is a very, very important thing in the development of skills for young people. Peer teams remove the restraints of authority. People are more willing to assert and exchange ideas, more willing to be wrong, more willing to think about other things, right? Peer learning is very important for the development of idea creation, the development of collaboration, right? That's the first method. The second method is mentorship and motivation, which I briefly touched on. The mentorship and motivation system is a little bit more hierarchical. There's a defined mentor and mentee, someone who has more experience and knowledge to give and to help the mentee, right? So there's more specific roles and who is going to whom for advice and whatnot. But that's all part of training and developing a relationship, right? This relationship is very powerful, very strong, very important to help someone or an individual become something more, because this person should be respected, trusted, and someone that this mentee can learn from. It's very important to develop the strength of this relationship. And the stronger this relationship is, it will allow for more emotional interchange. It will allow for more depth of discourse, right? I can talk with any one of you. I can try to give advice. I can try to help you with a problem or whatnot. That's all fine. That's all simple. But the depth of that relationship, the value of that interchange is going to be defined by the strength of that relationship and that trust, right? So day one, I'll be able to do certain types of things, but by the end of the semester or by the end of the year, depending on if you take more of my classes, those things will also develop more, right? This mentor-mentee relationship is defined and is important and needs to exist to help develop that young person through time. A mentor-mentee relationship theoretically should not be super short, although those can exist. But if you have a longer term one that will help that mentee grow over time, that's very important as well. This relationship, the strength of this relationship also is important because it allows people to confront problems. It allows the mentor to confront the mentee and call them out on things, right? And the mentee will tolerate this because that's part of why they've established this relationship. That's part of why the mentee has asked this mentor to be their mentor, right? They want the feedback, they respect the feedback, and they trust the feedback. And those things are all very, very important. And so I would encourage this. If you've never had a mentor, seek one out. Try to find one. Try to develop that to develop and hone your skills and your way of thinking and your idea creation, right? Right now, don't think of yourself as someone who is on an island that needs to do everything by themselves. You want to seek out people to learn from them. That's very, very important. Learn from their experiences. And so this will conclude our conversation on managers versus leaders, how they are different. But we're going to do a reading to follow up on this. And so, one, I want you to finish that managers and leaders reading that we've already done. So maybe you've already finished that. But two, I want you to start reading what leaders really do. Okay, so this reading is also posted. And so this is actually a follow-up article from the reading that we just did and the teachings that we just learned. Okay, and so it elaborates on some things and talks to more depth in certain types of things and clarifies some things. And so I want you to read that article, and then I want you to identify and discuss your biggest takeaway from this reading, right? So read it and then think, this is a very important piece that I want to identify and explain why. And I want you to do this by this Saturday at 11:59 p.m. So on Edsby, tell me what your biggest takeaway is and why from the reading. All right, thank you.